Hi, Coach Red here, and I'm here with Despina. I'm going to have her pronounce her last name better than I can. Despina is a mediator in Greece, and I am Coach Red, www.coachred1.com. I'm a life coach here in the United States, in Florida specifically, but I do life coach anywhere. And we're talking about divorce with children today. So let's talk to Despina. Despina, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Rosel. I'm really happy to be here with you. As you said, I am a mediator in Greece. I am specialized in family issues, even though at the beginning, when I started my career as mediator, I didn't want to have this type of cases because actually my parents got a divorce when I was young, and I didn't want to face this type of difficulties. However, when I did my first mediation in family issues, I realized how much I understand and I can connect with the parents, and
Right.
how easily I can connect also with the children. And actually, it was really easy for me to understand what the kids need and to realize how difficult it is for the parents to understand that. So I actually decided to work on this and to specialize more in family cases because I think that I can help the parents understand and focus more on their children. Because
Mhm.
when they are coming in the mediation table, they are very angry and very frustrated. And it's not easy for them to really focus on their kids' need at that moment.
Right. Right. At that moment, they're more interested in revenge. I can relate in some ways because I'm divorced myself. And that's why I became a life coach for parents, because I see that it's so important for parents to really see what the kids are going through when you're going through a divorce. For me, I was blessed to have an amicable divorce, and my ex-husband, although it was difficult for him to do his part, he tried, and he tried to co-parent, and he deferred to me a lot, which really helped. Not everybody has that. Some people are so stuck on revenge that they can't see the flower for the trees, or the trees for the forest, something like that. There's a saying in the United States like that.
Yeah.
But we need to get people out of that anger so that they can make decisions that are right for the children. And I'm just going to interject here. And you wrote a book with this in mind. And I just want to
Yeah.
talk about that for a minute.
Yes, I actually wrote a book, and the title is Mom, Dad, Can You Hear Me? And it's about this situation. I mean, I'm trying through the book to give voice to the children, to communicate to their parents their thoughts and their feelings, and especially their needs during the divorce period. And in the book, I have a list of 11 things that the protagonist of the story asks from the parents, which is exactly what I wanted from my parents when they were getting the divorce. And I think that it is a really good guidance for the parents, because actually the parents, they need to find a way to communicate after the divorce. They maybe are not husband and wife anymore, but they are still parents, and actually it's compulsory for them to find a way to communicate. There is not a way to it's not a choice.
It's not. And one way that life coaching and mediation can go together is that a person can see a life coach or a coach, you can call it whatever you want, before going to mediation. Because in some of the tools that I use in my life coaching is visualization. And some people think that that's insane. But if you can go back to that spot where your child is born and you have all these hopes and dreams for this child, it's going to grow up happy and healthy and with two loving parents. If you go back to that space in your mind, then you can make a decision from that loving place instead of that angry, vengeful place. The decisions that you make when you go to mediation need to come from a loving place for your children. You don't have to love their parent anymore, but every decision at that point needs to be made with the children's best interest. And if you can visualize and take yourself back in time and sit with that place, sit from that space, the decisions that you make are so different. You know, when we have anger and revenge, that's like the top of a pot. So this top is sitting on a pot and it's bubbling with anger and resentment. And we need to take that pot top off because inside there's hurt and sadness and joy and so many feelings in there that are all mixed up and covered with anger. So if we can do a visualization with our clients, lift that top off, lift the lid off the pot so that they can get to a feeling of compassion, then they'll make better decisions for the children in mediation. And your job will be a lot easier as a mediator.
Yes, this will be very, very easier because it's very important for the parents to come in mediation and have worked in these things that you already said. When they are sitting at the table, they need to take some decisions that it's necessary for them to have elaborated them before.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, they should have elaborated the pain, the anger, so as to come and be more calm. Because in mediation, we are trying to move them from their positions, which are very strong, and their positions, affirmations. I don't want that. Full stop. To their needs. We want to move them to what they really need for themselves and for the children.
That's like a power struggle. Both of them are like this. I want this, I want this, I want this, and nobody moves. But if you can get them to empathy and compassion, even not for the other person necessarily, but for the family unit, then you can move
themselves.
them.
For themselves, because they can't live with this pain every day. It's very hard. First, you do it for yourself. Even if you decide to move on and you decide to leave everything behind, you do it for yourself. You don't do it for the other party.
Right.
And this is very beneficial for the kid, of course.
Yes. And the kids don't always know how to express what they're feeling. And sometimes kids will be like the best child because they feel like if they're good, then they'll be able to fix their parents' problems, or whatever goes on in a child's head is if I'm the best child and I get the best grades and I do everything right, then my parents will get back together or my parents will stop fighting. Or you'll have a child that will act out. It's really, each child is different. One child might act out and a teenager might start taking drugs or drinking just so they don't have to hear their parents arguing. Or they might that's like an extreme, I guess, with a teenager. With a little kid, they may be trying to pit one parent against the other, because if the parents aren't talking, then they can say, oh, well, daddy says this, or yeah, well, I'm allowed to do that at mom's house, why can't I do that here? And that starts at a young age. And that starts at a young age. It really, really does. And so if you can get on the same page in mediation and you're able to move them after having done coaching or therapy, or parenting classes, then you move them so much easier through the process. Because what happens if you don't move them through the process in mediation? Like, what then?
Usually they don't find an agreement and they decide to go to court. It's easier for them to leave a judge decide for the family and blame the judge for the decision, instead of take the responsibility and forgive the other party and move on and sign an agreement according to their needs and honor the agreement. They prefer to, sometimes I feel that they prefer to have someone to blame.
Yes, that is so huge.
And considering the children of what you said before, I mean, many times in mediation, I have the parents that they say that, for example, the kid said this thing to me, and the other parent has exactly the opposite opinion. And he says, no, but he said something else. because actually the kids are trying to satisfy both the parents. Until they don't sit all together, they will never see that.
Yeah. And sometimes when they sit together, if they're in that power struggle, they're still never going to see it.
Yeah.
So there's so much benefit to having your lid off the pot before mediation, because people can go through divorce for years. They can go through the courts, they can be in and out of mediation, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it can be a new way of life for them, that they just stay in this anger and this resentment and this power struggle and the courts and the mediation. And it's crazy. But if they would really think about what's best for the child, it's not for them to be embattled in the courts and mediation for 5, 10 years, right?
Exactly.
They need to get it over with so they can move on and the kids can heal too.
Because in mediation, especially in Greece, we use the facilitative mediation, where the parties have to decide, and the mediator cannot say anything, cannot decide for them. So, in order for them to discuss, they need to work first. And if they follow a divorce culture, I think this will be really beneficial for them.
Yeah. So what happens when you have somebody who's acrimonious and in power struggle and you're not allowed to say anything? So what do? I mean, are
Well,
you allowed to like say, well, these are your options? Choose, like, can you say anything?
yes. You make questions. You explain to them, okay, if you don't sign an agreement today, what do you think will happen if you go to court? And then the lawyer that is together comes in the mediation together with the party says, for example, that yes, okay, I don't think that it will go very well, or that the chances are 50-50. So there, the other party understands exactly where he stands, what are their forces in the case, and where are the weaknesses. So he understands that when they have a clear mind, that's why I'm saying that divorce coaching is very important. At that moment, when the lawyers explains, because many times the lawyers are very, very honest, and they say that we will probably lose. So the party, when he hears that, he starts thinking that, okay, maybe I have to think a little bit more about it and not be so aggressive.
Oh, okay. So the lawyers are able to like crack the person when they
Yes.
say you're not going to get that.
Of course, you have also the cases where the lawyer says, no, we will win 100%. And
And
then you
both
ask
sides
again
say
and you
that,
say,
right?
yeah. And you ask, are you sure about that? I mean, you are so confident. And they say, yes. It's
Okay.
okay. There you can't do many things there, unfortunately. That's why the people must be very conscious when they come to mediation, because all the agreement depends from them, from their emotions and the way they are thinking.
I think that that's a really great way for us to end this video. I love what you just said. People need to be able to get control of their emotions and know what they are thinking. These things really, really go hand in hand. And when the emotions get in the way, there can't be an agreement. You're just going to stay like this in struggle.
Exactly.
So, in conclusion, I'm Coach Red again. I'm a certified life coach, and I can help you get through all of life's problems. I specialize in the bookends of life, which is helping parents with children and helping adult children with aging parents. So, the bookends of life. Speaking of book, let's name your book. I will put in the show notes ways to get in touch with me, ways to get in touch with Despina, and a link to her book. What's the name of the book again, Despina?
Mom, Dad, can you hear me?
Excellent. Mom, Dad, Can You Hear Me by Despina M. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more from Despina and Rochelle.